Hey guys, my name is Jason Schuster. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I own Intricate Art Spine and Body Solutions. It's a continuing education company teaching other doctors how to do a couple things. Today we're going to talk about gastric pentadecapeptide body protective compound 157 or BPC-157. It's one of the best, safest, most effective peptides out there. It's a natural substance to help us improve our body's own healing, and the criminal public health agencies like the FDA and the CDC are currently trying to ban this stuff because they know how safe it is, they know how effective it is, and it's a totally natural substance that they can't patent and financially cripple the American public with. Aaron Rodgers used BPC-157 for his Achilles injury, which is one of the reasons that he returned so fast from that tear of his Achilles. Right, he was working with the Ways to Well company in Austin, Texas. They're one that I have their reference in here. They sell some peptides. They have very good, high quality stuff, and they connect you with a doctor, and it's a prescription. It's really good. It has widespread anti-inflammatory effects, which is one of the hallmarks of aging. It's been shown to improve telomere length, which is one of the hallmarks of aging, right? It improves genomic stability, which is one of the hallmarks of aging, genomic instability, right? So it helps improve genomic stability. One of the things, you guys, that I really, really heavily focus on in my dry needling classes is how important regulating the autonomic nervous system is for things like erectile dysfunction. So really the only so-called treatment for erectile dysfunction out there is a pill that doesn't treat anything. It just temporarily improves nitrous oxide pathways, stimulates vasodilation, and it allows more blood to go into the penis than is coming out, right? It passively closes the venous valves in the penis. It closes them shut, so blood is going in but not coming out. It helps us maintain an erection, right? That's how Viagra and Cialis work, more or less. The reason that we can't get enough blood down to that area has nothing to do with the nitrous oxide itself. It has to do with the fact that the human body is stuck in chronic sympathetic hyperactivity. Very, very few people, probably less than 5% of guys suffering from erectile dysfunction should be suffering from it. There's no reason for this, you guys. Taking peptides like BPC-157 help resolve it. Treatments like dry needling help resolve it. Joint manipulation. You just have to reduce sympathetic autonomic hyperactivity to the point where the veins and the vessels and everything aren't crushed by tight muscles. The endothelial layer of smooth muscle in the arteries isn't constricted. Right? Blood pressure goes down, everything relaxes, and then you can get an erection. It's not that hard to fix. You just have to understand why it's happening in the first place. BPC-157 has widespread beneficial effects on the peripheral nervous system, central nervous system, autonomic nervous system, the gut-brain axis, right? This is a peptide from the gut, so it really, really helps with the gut-brain axis, which is connecting the enteric nervous system to the brain via the vagus nerve, right? So vagus nerve stimulation, very, very helpful. It works on some of the same pathways as BPC-157. And then the gut-brain axis, you guys, has significant overlap with the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, right? Which is one of the other main axes of the autonomic nervous system, which also has overlap with the trigeminal cervical complex, which starts at about C2 in the spinal column and goes up into the brain, connected by the trigeminal nerve. BPC-157 works on a lot of the base axes of the autonomic nervous system insofar as it helps improve energy, it helps improve healing, it helps improve neurogenesis, right? It just helps with all sorts of stuff. When the sympathetic autonomic nervous system becomes too hyperactive, you guys, our intestinal lining becomes leaky, right? The cells contract to the point where they start to spread apart and things can leak through the cellular lining, just kind of like happens in the blood-brain barrier, right? So serotonin, 95% of the serotonin in our body by weight is produced in the intestines by the gut bacteria themselves, right? So we have more gut bacteria in our body than we do actual cells in our body, which is kind of crazy to think about, right? So BPC-157 helps regulate the differential in concentration between substances like glutamate and GABA, right? Dopamine, acetylcholine, melatonin, omega-3s, all that stuff. So typically people with sympathetic hyperactivity have too much glutamate, which is a stimulating peptide. They have too little GABA, which is a parasympathetic calming peptide. So one of the things that BPC-157 does is help bring that ratio of glutamate and GABA more normal. It just in general helps the autonomic nervous system. It helps the sympathetic side depress, the parasympathetic side elevate, and it helps stimulate healing, right? Autonomic nervous system homeostasis. more homeostasis improves all aspects of mental and physical health as far as I understand. I don't know of anything that gets worse with a more homeostatic autonomic nervous system. And what all these peptides are doing is in some way or another, they're working at a base level of improving autonomic nervous system homeostasis, which is the same way that dry needling is working and that supplementation and all this other stuff is working, you guys. So really, really important. BPC-157 is also being used right now to treat a lot of mental health disorders, you guys. A lot of functional medicine doctors use these peptides. Again, it improves autonomic nervous system homeostasis by improving healing, right? We don't technically need to get into all the different ways that it does so, although I like to understand that, and we are talking about that. But in general, if all you wanted to know is if they're safe and what do they do overall, you can more or less think about all these peptides as, yes, they're as safe as anything can be. Again, water will kill you if you drink too much of it. BPC-157, the lethal dose is 27,000 times the typical dose. So it's basically totally safe, and it just helps with all aspects of autonomic nervous system homeostasis, which automatically helps improve different concentrations of stuff in the brain, outside the brain, improves mental health, just like things like omega-3s significantly improve mental health, right? Very, very helpful for a lot of different stuff. Here's a really good one, a slide that I copied here about brain injury in BPC-157, right? In animal studies. Again, there's not being a lot of human studies done on any of these things because the pharmaceutical companies don't want to do them because they don't want this information out until they can patent this stuff and change it in a way where it can be patented. And at that point, it's going to be actually probably a lot more, it's going to have a lot more side effects, because once you start changing the natural molecular structure of these stuff, that's what gives it different structure and function. This is not complicated. The pharmaceutical companies know this. They just don't care because they don't care if it's healing and healthy for you, if it's safe and cheap, and if it's not patentable, right? They don't care about the outcomes as long as they can make money off of it and get it approved by the FDA, which doesn't care about if it's safe or not. The FDA only cares about how much money they're going to make from the pharmaceutical companies on it, right? So it's really disgusting stuff. But anyways, BPC-157, really, really helpful, right? But so been shown to counteract leaky gut syndrome. It's been shown to help with liver damage, brain damage. It helps with reoxygenating tissues in the brain after concussions. It helps with neuropathies, diabetic neuropathies. It helps with insulin resistance. Again, it's really working on a base level. It's just providing the, so think about it this way. If your house gets ripped up by a miniature tornado that like rips up your garage, right? What do you need to fix your garage, right? You don't need somebody to come and tell you like, hey, you need to put wood here and wood here and wood here. What you actually need is the stuff to fix your garage, right? You need the wood and the nails to fix your garage. If you don't have the wood and the nails, having the information of how to fix it doesn't do you any good, right? You can have all the information. If you don't actually have the substances to build it, it's not being built, right? So that's exactly how our body is working. But the DNA is the information or the blueprint. You then need the DNA to produce the materials to build the blueprint. If things are out of whack, our body can't express the DNA in a way that we can have the building materials that we need. So if we know what those materials are and we know that they're lacking and we can extraneously put them into the body, that's bypassing a step and is saying, here, okay, we know there's a problem here. We're just going to give you these materials and then you can use them to build the stuff and to fix the problem that's going on. I think that's a really good way to look at this stuff. So BPC-157 and knee pathology, again, this is one, BPC-157 and thymosin beta-4, you guys, which we're going to talk about in a second. Those are two of the most heavily used in sports injuries and stuff like that. There's a company that I get mine from that has a thymosin beta-4. They have TB5, or there's another one called TB500. We'll get into that in a second. I don't like that as much because it's altered a little bit, but BPC-157 and thymosin beta-4 are used in conjunction with each other. They act on slightly different mechanisms. They have really synergistic effects, and they really, really amplify healing, right? So again, when the FDA says a natural protein is dangerous, while at the same time investing hundreds of millions of dollars to do research into it, which is what they're doing with NMN right now too. They're doing this with all these peptides. They're trying to ban all these peptides and say they're dangerous, and then they're going to take the time to change them so they can make money off of them. And at that point, they're not going to be nearly as effective, and they're going to have way more side effects. Or they will be super extremely effective and have a ton of negative side effects, which I 100% guarantee you is what's going to happen with Ozempic. Nothing is free in nature, you guys, right? Nothing is free in nature. So losing a ton of weight, but we are going to see some effects from this because nothing is free in nature. And that's just a real quick on Ozempic, you guys. This proves that eating less food makes you lose weight. A lot of doctors don't want to realize this situation, but what Ozempic does is it changes the concentration of ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone. It literally makes you less hungry and you eat less food. That is the mechanism of action by which Ozempic is working, or semaglutide, right? GLP-1 stuff. If taking Ozempic makes you less hungry and you eat less food, which is what 100% of the people take it say how they lose weight, is that they eat less, right? Eating less makes you lose weight. So all these doctors that say, oh, obesity is a complicated problem. No, it's not. You eat less food, you lose weight. You burn more calories per day than you put into your body, you burn weight. If you want to argue with that, first show me your equations that say you figured out how to break the laws of thermodynamics in human beings. So by saying that eating less food doesn't make you lose weight, you are saying that the laws of thermodynamics are false, right? So first, if you say that, I would like you to show me how the laws of thermodynamics are false, and then explain to me how Ozempic makes people lose weight, and then tell me why you tell me that eating food has nothing to do with weight loss. This is the line of thought of the majority of physicians in the United States. It's not your fault. You're not eating too much food. Let me give you this drug that makes you eat less food and you're going to lose weight. But don't worry, it's not your fault. Oh, and by the way, you have to take this drug for the rest of your life. Right? That's the literal deal, you guys. So steroid injections don't repair tendons, right? So steroid injections typically just help reduce inflammation, right? BPC-157 actually stimulates repair mechanisms. So like I said before, it's like a stem cell, right? It acts very similar to a stem cell. It stimulates regenesis or regrowth of nerves, of vascular tissue, of muscle tissue, of cartilage, right? It's just really, really helpful. So 9 out of 10 patients, it really significantly helped 9 out of 10 patients in this one knee study, right? It lasted much, much longer, 6 months and beyond, where typical steroids are only lasting like 1 or 4 weeks for people. And again, steroids are just addressing a symptom of the problem, right? Steroids are addressing inflammation. And that's not necessarily bad. We need to reduce inflammation a lot of time, but steroids also have a ton of negative side effects. So why are we still giving people steroids when we know that this BPC-157 works better than steroids, it has less negative side effects, and it's cheaper? So why aren't we using it? That last thing that I said is why we're not using it. It's cheaper. It works better and it's cheaper, so we're not going to use it. That is how our medical system works in the United States, you guys, and that's why it's so important to take it upon yourself to learn about this stuff, because if you don't teach it to yourself, or if somebody doesn't tell you about it, you're never going to know that it exists, because it doesn't matter how healthy or healing things are. It matters how much money people can make off of them. Don't forget to check out our website at intricateartseminars.com. We have a 5-course board-certified nutrition series on there. We also have online dry needling courses, in-person dry needling courses, and in-person manipulation courses. And thanks for watching. Here is a free link to our first of the 5 nutrition courses. It's 5 CEUs. Anybody can take it. It's good for medical practitioners and anybody else that's looking to learn how to improve their health naturally and escape the criminal medical negligence of the public health system that is destroying the health of America. Thanks for watching.